Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Oh, hi! If you're looking for another spooky and funny podcast to add to your rotation, check out Anything Bones, now part of the Podmoth Network.
Hey Boneheads, I'm Sophie Schwartz.
And I'm Caitlin Hart.
And we're the hosts of Anything Bones, the podcast where we talk about bones and bone-related topics.
Soph, what are bone-related topics?
Thank you for asking, Caitlin. This can be anything from mausoleums to murderers, famous skeletons to cadaver dogs.
Bone churches, mummies, serial killers. You'll hear about them all.
And sometimes we have guests stop by and tell us their favorite bony tales.
Check out Anything Bones on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or wherever your little heart desires.
We release new episodes every Saturday.
Bon voyage!
Before we dive into today's episode, we want to acknowledge the sensitive nature of the topics we are about to discuss. In this episode, we are exploring the mysterious surroundings of the Overtoun Bridge. We understand that the discussions about tragic events, including those involving animals, can be distressing. Listener discretion is advised.
In a world where truth is often stranger than fiction, two intrepid hosts embark on a journey through the shadows of history, exploring the mysteries, legends, conspiracies that lie hidden in plain sight. Let's take a jump down the rabbit hole. This is Caffeinated Conspiracies.
Hey everyone, Glenn here. Season 3 is finally here, and we've got a lineup that will keep you on the edge of your seat. From ancient legends to modern mysteries, we have no stone unturned in our quest for truth.
And I'm Omer, your co-host. Get ready to dive deep into the unknown as we unravel the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, the truth behind Betty and Barney Hill, and much more. Each episode promises to intrigue, surprise, and maybe even spook you.
Join our hosts and a cast of enthused guests as they navigate the murky waters of conspiracy, exploring the unexplained, the unusual, and the downright bizarre. Get ready for a caffeinated journey like no other, as we uncover the truth behind the world's most perplexing enigmas. This is Caffeinated Conspiracies.
Welcome to a realm where the boundary between the living and the dead blurs, where the whispers of the past echo through the misty air. This week, we journey to the eerie Overtoun Bridge, a place where tragedy and mystery intertwine like the ivy clinging to its ancient stones. As twilight descends, shadows dance upon the worn cobblestones, and the secrets of this cursed crossing begin to stir. Join us as we delve into the chilling legends that shroud Overtoun Bridge, where countless dogs have met their tragic end, leaping to their deaths from its unforgiving parapets. What dark forces beckon these loyal companions to their demise? Is it mere coincidence, or is it something more sinister at play? Welcome to the haunting tale of Overtoun Bridge. Yeah, I practiced that one.
First time.
First time. This episode is going to need to have some sort of disclaimer. And there's an episode every season that has a disclaimer, so we've got a pattern here. One
This
episode
one's
every season has a
disclaimer
disclaimer. Every
is,
season has a ship.
Do not show this to John Wick.
Yeah. Do not take your dogs to this place. Now, it's not dog suicide in a way.
Yeah.
That's one of the theories. That's one of the things that we're going to discuss in this episode. And obviously, we have done an episode every season where there has been a disclaimer at the start, and that's this one for this episode. So if you've got your furry pets with you, your furry loved ones, don't let them listen to this episode, please. And whatever you do, do not take your dogs to Overtoun Bridge. Before we do get into the whole shebang of the show, Omer, what are you drinking this week?
I got caffeinated goodness.
What you on? What coffee have you got today? Is it just normal coffee? Is it a special kind?
I told you, I'm still on this weird, throwing random pods in my machine.
Okay.
This
And
one-
just getting...
This one really does smell like a Colombian roast. Although I say this not knowing that much about coffee,
Do
but
you
Colombian.
swirl it? Just sort of swirl it in your mouth and spit it out into a spittoon and just yes, Colombian.
Notes of mahogany.
I was going to be coming on with a coffee stout, a bit different this evening, but as I cracked it open and tried it, it tastes like ass. So I'm on Dow Egberts.
Issue with coffee stouts is people make the mistake of sweetening them up.
You see, yeah, that's where I think it's probably gone wrong with this. The last stout, I'm not a stout drinker, but the last one I had was a Jamaican chocolate ginger cake stout, which was at a beer festival, which was fantastic. And I think that's just sort of tarnished any other stouts for me because none of them taste as good as that. And it was the first one I've ever had, and it'll probably be the last because I'm not a big stout drinker. But I tried it. I wanted to bring it on and say, yes, this is what I'm drinking this evening. But unfortunately, I am on the Dow Egberts this evening instead. It's still good. I like it. It's good coffee. But yes, Overtoun Bridge. Omer, just from your research and before you go into your notes, what do you know anything about this place apart from what I said to you? Have you looked at what did anything
Before
sort of
starting
jump
the
out at you?
research, the only thing I knew is that you told me it's a bridge that dogs jump off. That's all I knew. Doing the research, there's been some interesting things, but I feel like I'd like to leave them for the episode. But there's a lot of things that sort of came to it that like I did not expect to find.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can put it without.
This is
giving
very
most
much
episodes.
it's very much a ghost story as well, this one, which I feel is sort of great because we've not done a ghost one for quite a while. And most of
Yeah.
our sort of supernatural elements were in our second season. And I don't think we've looked enough into that on this third season. I mean, this season's probably been one of my favorites. I mean, we've had some great episodes so far. We've got some more to come. We've had some great guests that the guests that have been on have been fantastic. And I think this is one of the episodes that I've wanted to do for so long that I really look forward to this. But what we'll do is we'll dive right into the episode. Oh man, you've done your research. Let's start off with your notes, see what you've come up with.
So let's start at the beginning because
That's a
it
good
was
place to
not
start.
just so. Overtoun Bridge isn't just Overtoun Bridge. It was built for Overtoun House.
Yes.
Overtoun House was built back in the 1860s, somewhere between the 1860s and 1863, built by James Smith, but he died before finishing the house. That was in 1862. He was commissioned by James White, the first
the family,
owner
the
of
White's
Overtoun
family,
House, and the Whites are the ones that sort of link to all of this. James White, after passing away, the manor, well, the house was, because it was Overtoun Farms first. They built the house, which made Overtoun House, and then John Campbell White, his son, inherited the house, and he was the one who commissioned the building of Overtoun Bridge itself. Overtoun Bridge was built by Henry Milner, and it was built in 1895 for ease of access to Overtoun House, which when I looked at the map confused me because it was just this one ravine like to the west of the house that had needed access over. The rest of it was like it's quite open on the rest of it. The house itself and the bridge are located northwest side of Overtoun House in Milton, West Dunbartonshire, Scotland,
which is northwest of Glasgow.
Yeah. So it's like people can get there quite easily. It's not too far out in the middle of nowhere.
No.
But that's where the sort of factual sort of bits where like they're just boring facts die, because from this point during the 1950s, locals start referring to the bridge as the Bridge of Death or Dog Suicide Bridge.
Yep.
And that's when the reports, well, most of the reports that we have recorded are put down of dogs jumping off the bridge. We did say dog suicide, but we'll cover that one in a bit. On estimate, there have been roughly, since reports started, that over 600 dogs have jumped off the bridge, and 50 have actually died. The rest of them actually survived with some degrees of injury. I think And they've not. I think the most recent one I could find was 2013. Was a dog that jumped off.
Something
And
like that, yeah.
so they didn't stop, and they still haven't stopped. Dogs are still leaping off apparently. I just couldn't find a report after 2013.
I don't think there
but I'm
has been
sure.
anything reported, no.
But yeah, so 600 dogs, 50 actually passed away after jumping. The bridge itself doesn't have a history that ends there, though, because
God,
the
no.
dogs are the most prevalent thing, and that's what gives it the moniker Dog Suicide Bridge. But the Bridge of Death sort of comes in tandem with an event that happened in October 1994,
Yep.
which was a paranoid schizophrenic by the name of Kevin Moy. I think
Yep.
he was 32 at the time.
Yep.
Threw his 2-week-old son off the bridge.
Yeah.
He believed his son was the Antichrist, basically, because he had a birthmark on his head, and he claimed that he did it for the world, saying that because of him and his boy is the reason the Gulf War started.
Yeah.
And he chose the bridge because of its what was it? It was like its connection and association to dark spirits, and he was apparently quoting how like druidic people would use a symbol at the area back in the day.
Yeah.
Moy was also attempted to commit suicide that same day, but was stopped and ended up in a mental hospital.
Yeah, about that. He wasn't charged, was he? He was cleared
Yeah,
due
he
to
wasn't
mental health
charged
issues.
because of the schizophrenia, and then obviously he was convinced that the kid thingy they couldn't really charge him with thingy. Was it manslaughter? Murder?
They would do. It'd be murder,
I was
wouldn't
getting
it?
too mixed up. It'd be murder because it was.
Isn't manslaughter
Be
when
murder
you're
because it
not
was
meant
planned.
to kill
Manslaughter's
somebody?
accidental. Yeah,
Yeah.
murder's
Like if I hit someone
premeditated.
with a car and killed them, that'd be manslaughter. Whereas
Yeah.
if I decided that I'm going to run that person over, I've planned it and I've planned this out for weeks and then I've run him over, that's then murder because it's been preempted.
So
I could be wrong.
We've got what is it like 70-year history of dogs throwing themselves off this bridge. Maybe
There's
longer than
all
70 years because
sorts,
1950s is when we first start getting the reports, but could have happened prior, but nobody actually said anything like, man, my dog was an idiot. But then you've got 1994, Kevin Moy's attack, well, schizophrenic attack, and the tragic death of his child. It's got a lot more to it than I thought it did. Like, that just threw me off when I come across it.
Exactly. It's not just a place for dogs. You know?
And what makes it even better, it's like, despite all of this, is it's still classed on Google. And I don't know whether it's like a site thing, but Google says that Overtoun House, including the bridge, good for dogs.
Yeah, pet friendly.
Yeah.
Well, I've also got a little bit here. I don't know if you've got this.
What is it?
That there's also many locals believe that the area is haunted. They have stated that playing in the woods whilst growing up, they felt something eerie and they could sense a presence. Some claim it was the bereaved widow.
That one's in my theories for a reason.
Right. Sorry to go into that one. The bereaved widow of the late Lord of the Grounds and wanders the area, and she's known as the Lady of Overtoun and has been spotted in windows as well there, and even crossing the bridge.
Yep. She was in my theories for a reason as a theory. But I got more on that one.
I'll let you go into theory on that one later on. But yeah, pretty much you've got everything there that I sort of went through as well. I mean, the reports obviously starting from the 1950s, and like you say, 600 dogs, man, that's ridiculous. That's a lot. And I mean, let's face it, we as humans are the only species that sort of preempt killing ourselves. I've never seen a
known
dog
for suicide.
Yeah. I mean, I've never known a dog. My dog is the happiest dog in the world. He's a knob, but he's happy and he runs around everywhere like a fucking like he's just swallowed a line of speed or something and he's bouncing off the walls. I
Yeah,
don't think
most
my dog
recorded
would ever want
instance.
to. Yeah,
Yeah, most recorded instances of animal suicide either turns out to be an animal going for prey and killing itself in the process, or an animal trying to survive and killing itself in the process. You don't get animals
yeah.
just wanting to end themselves.
I mean, the drop from the bridge to the ravine below is about a 50-foot drop,
Yep.
and the rocks below. Now, I believe the one that you said in about 2013,
Most, yeah.
I believe that dog jumped, survived, and the woman took the dog back there on a walk after it had fully healed, and it did it again.
Why would you take your dog back?
Why would you go back? This is mind-boggling. Oh, I know. Let's take the dog back to where it tried to kill itself.
To be
I
fair,
mean,
though, to be fair, there is a sign on the bridge that says keep your dog on a leash.
exactly. I mean, this. I mean, I when I originally had the idea for this episode many, many moons ago, I decided to watch a few documentaries on it as well. And one of them, this was the most bizarre one. Um, a guy wanted, he said he's an animal doctor, not a vet, an animal doctor. Okay. Wanted to know what the cause of it could be. Are the dogs seeing something from their eye line? So this man literally got on all fours and crossed the bridge on all fours. And the camera crew followed him all the way across this bridge. And I'm like,
Are
mate,
you sure
what
you were
are
watching a
you doing?
documentary and not an adult program?
No, it was on History Channel, right? Or National Geographic, something like that. One of the two. Um, and this guy literally walked all the way across on his hands and knees. And he's like, could it be an optical illusion that the ground looks not as high up compared to where we are when we're stood looking down? Um, I mean, I understand optical illusions, but I don't know if optical illusions work in the same way for dogs as they do people, because their eyesight is very different.
I mean,
And I
have
don't know if
you
that's a thing.
looked at Overtoun Bridge? Like,
Y- yeah,
because of the ravine and the trees that are within the ravine, you just see sort of mostly a canopy of trees.
yeah.
You
Obviously,
don't
from a
actually
certain
see the
distance.
bottom. Especially from a dog's eyesight, you're just seeing greenery.
Yeah,
So
but
it's not
below that
that bad.
greenery is just all rocks.
But also Overtoun Bridge, the walls of the bridge are quite high up. Like on all fours, you're just looking at a wall, and then
Yeah,
they always seem to jump from these little cut-ins in the side because the
yeah,
dogs most of the time can't get over the full wall. It's just the little cut-ins on the edge. For I don't know what they were built for, to sort of jump off. Like, so they can't see the ground even if they
yeah.
did know. So they're definitely running at something they think's there.
Well, that's where one
They don't.
part comes in. That it's not exactly a theory; it's one of the things that's out there. But I think we'll go into that with the theories as to one of the reasons. But I mean, the whole the whole bridge incident and the whole of Overton itself just doesn't add up for me with dog suicide, with some guy throwing his kid off the bridge, the sights of the White Lady of Overton. A lot goes on at this place. I mean, I know I've said it before, and I believe that there are certain parts across the world where a veil between two worlds is very, very thin. Could it be that Overton is one of them? That there's something there, but
Just no.
just no. Don't be stupid. Glenn, shut the fuck up. Drink your coffee, do the show, shut the fuck up and go to bed.
I feel like, given the other places we've looked at, Overton is the least suspect of all of them. Although I am
Because
interested, like, what was the thing that kept drawing you back to this? What made this the thing that you wanted in one of our episodes?
I don't know. That's the thing. I think, to be fair, one of the things that struck me was it was the fact that dogs are going there to kill themselves, but not in that sense. And I know that sounds a bit morbid. The thing that I'm, as I said just previously, we are the only species that will actually contemplate killing ourselves. We are the only species known to do that. Dogs do not preempt killing themselves. So, what has caused them to do this? Is it just a normal circumstance that because of the way the bridge is built, there's something below that the dogs want and they can't quite see what it is? Or is there something more foul at play? Which
It
is one of the
was,
things that
yeah.
struck me to it is the fact that there's the logical answers to it, and then there's the supernatural element to it. And you know me, I love my supernatural stuff. I love my ghosts. I love my ghost stories. Scotland itself, where this is based, is a fantastic place. It's a beautiful country. We did the Loch Ness Monster, and before many years ago, I went up to Loch Ness and I loved being there. And I want to go to Overtoun. I want to go and see what it's like for real. I'm not taking my dog. My dog can stay here. But I would like to go up, see the bridge for myself, see the grounds, and understand, try and get that feel as well. Because you know what it's like, some places you go to, we've said it ourselves, you'll go somewhere and you may not believe that a place is haunted, but you can have a sense of something that's not quite right there. I want to know if I get that sort of feeling, if it gives me the willies, or is it, something that's you get there and it's just like this is just a nice casual day out. I mean, it's not gonna be nice, it's gonna be raining in Scotland, it always rains. But I mean, you get there, you sort of I don't know what it's just something draws me to this place. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it. There are sort of key points that put me there. But every time I hear about Overtoun Bridge or I see a podcast on Overtoun Bridge, a documentary, I have to watch it, listen to it, or read about it because it does fascinate me. And this is one of those ones that I don't know why. I just don't know why. And I would like to go and actually sort of see what the whole fascination is really.
We'll go. It's not
We'll
that
go.
far.
Nah, gotta get my car fixed first, but we'll go.
But yeah, the one thing that still confuses me about Overtoun Bridge, which isn't one of the theories, it's just like, how have the owners not put fences up?
Exactly. I mean, so what good is a sign going to do? Keep your dogs on the leash. Mate, I walk around the reservoir with a dog. It says keep your dogs on the leash, and everyone's just letting them go. Everybody. My dog
Yeah,
jumped
just
over
like,
a wall and legged it off to the water. He didn't go in it. He's a shitbag, but still.
just a
Everyone
fence.
does it. A fence over the bridge,
Doesn't have to be a big one, just big enough to stop dogs.
or even like a netting underneath. I mean, it can't be too expensive to sort of put up some netting.
No, because the netting thing is the issue that the dogs jump in the net, then you got to get the dog out of the net. Fence stops the dog from jumping altogether.
Can't we put like little signs up? Like we've got on our motorway bridges, where it's got all the help you need. There's the one that could just say like bark, 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 bark. That sort of stops the dogs from
Barky
jumping.
bark.
Yeah,
Bark, 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 bark.
feeling low, dogs trust. Something like that. It's not all doom and gloom. If you don't like your owners, leave.
Talk to Frank.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, just something about this place does fascinate me. And it's just intrigued me. And I know the guests that wanted to come on, they were intrigued by it as well, and that's why they chose to do this episode with us. It's kind of sad that they couldn't make it on, but we understand, and like I said, they will be back with us in another season. But I mean, before we do start going into the theories, I mean, have you got any more you want to say about this, or do you just want to get into the juicy side of it now?
So, the only other thing that came across, which I'm not going to cover in any of my theories, was one of the other weird things connected to it. And I do feel like it's just a weird thing connected to it,
Okay.
not anything to do with sort of what's happened. Was it? I think it was Henry Milner. I'm sure it was Henry Milner. One of his daughters was known for killing her lover with arsenic.
Okay.
So it was like there's not only death there, there's death surrounding it but it was the builder of the house, not the bridge.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that's the way around it was. I can't remember where I put it because I did mean to put it in my notes, but I've lost it.
Tell me
one
there's
of
not
them.
something supernaturally going on in this place then. Tell
No, 'cause,
me.
like the whole like his daughter. Oh no. Yeah, James Smith. Yeah, James Smith. He was the builder of the. Wait, who's who now? Sorry, I lost him. I got lost in my notes. Yeah, James Smith, builder of the house. His daughter, Madeline Smith,
Yeah.
was famous in 1857 for poisoning her then lover. But this is way before anything of the building, like anything of the Overtoun Bridge and any of the other stuff started. Way, way before.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So if you want to draw a
Interesting, though.
if you want
Yeah.
to draw a supernatural line, that's where you'd start.
Yeah. That's where we would
A guy
start.
with a daughter who has a penchant for arsenic poisoning people, build the house. Then what's the other one? The other one was the Lady Overtoun grieving and dying there and leaving the spirit of the White Lady behind. And then you've got the occult thing later in the 1990s with
Guy who threw his kid off the
Kevin
bridge.
Moy.
Yeah.
Those would be your links that you have to anything supernatural or otherworldly or spiritual. I don't know.
I reckon the dogs jumping off the bridge is basically Satan trying to make his hellhounds.
That was actually one of my stupid theories.
I like
You
how
threw
our
it out
minds think.
early.
I like how our minds think.
I was
there,
like,
man.
so you've got all these dogs coming off the bridge, like so many dying. There's the army of hellhounds, and then the kid gets thrown off because he was, the Antichrist.
The
So now
Antichrist.
we have the Antichrist and the 50 hellhounds already set. They're just waiting to be resurrected.
There we go. Solved it already. There's no point going into the theories. No, we are going to go into the theories, but before we do that, we are going to take a very quick break.
Hey there, true crime fans. I'm Karina.
And I'm Lockie.
And if you're like us and you can't get enough of those spine-tingling crime stories,
Join us every week on our podcast where we dive into the latest cases and chat about everything from mysterious murders to perplexing disappearances.
but hey, don't expect us to be super serious about it. We're just two friends who love talking crime over a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for a true crime podcast that feels like you're hanging out with your friends, give us a listen.
Caffeine, Crime and Canines is available on most podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
See you there.
And welcome back to A Bad Day for Dogs on Overtoun Bridge, where we recommend please put your dog on a leash.
Or just don't take your dog at all.
I mean, that would be the preferred option considering its history, but like if you are gonna, because it is a nice like around like the Overtoun house, the surrounding scenery, fantastic, great dog walking area. Just keep the dog on the leash on the bridge. Just seems to be the bridge. Bad bridge.
So yes, just before the break, we were there discussing sort of the ins and outs of Overtoun Bridge, of what we know of its construction, and the dogs attempting suicide. Over 600 dogs have attempted to take their lives there, with 50 succeeding. Some dogs even going back and attempting again. God knows why. But we are now going to get into the theories of everything and rate them as we do every week. And we'll go to Omer first. Your first theory that you came up with or you've read in regards to this, because no doubt we're probably going to get some similar on this one.
Okay, so let's go with the. I'll go in order of which I wrote these actually. Wrote. So theory number one was nearby submarines giving off frequencies that drive the dogs crazy.
Yeah, I heard this one. I've not jotted this one down, but I've heard it. That's a little crazy, if you ask me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Quite recently, I've been going through the Godzilla movies and the series as well, Monarch, and obviously in Godzilla King of Monsters, they have the thing you don't know, the machine called the Orca, which has like the cry for each of the Titans. I could see that as being something that does draw the dogs out because only they can hear it, much like a dog whistle. Only dogs can hear it and they can hear it different frequencies. The more I think about that one, the more I mean, like I said, I didn't put it in my list, but the more I think about it, that's actually quite a possibility. How far is Overtoun from sort of the sea?
It's like not far from the sea. It's literally, you've got like estuaries and rivers coming in. The sea's like, what is the distance between it? Bear with. I never checked this, but it isn't. It's like you're Glasgow. You're right near the coast. Can I do a Google Map thing? Google.
Omer doing on-screen research as we have done previously this season. This is the only season where questions have been asked and we don't have the answers. Whereas we said at the end of the season, I wouldn't mind though, but at the end of season 2, we said that we need to be more prepared for these questions, and we're clearly not.
Questions we're asking ourselves as well.
I know, yeah. This would have been so embarrassing if we had a guest on and we had to do this.
Milton, Glasgow. Let's say closest harbour would be. Let's get directions to. Shore. Well, technically, you've got. Because a submarine could definitely get into a lock, right? And there's like 3 locks which connect to the sea right next to it. So, like, I'd assume like Port Glasgow would be your closest, which is less than 20 miles.
Okay. So yeah, the frequencies could reach, because they reach quite a large distance, don't they? Sonars and things like that.
You're talking
That's what
like
they're designed
for. Right. Let's say this is my destination. Right, change my destination, Google. Let's say.
Have you been enjoying the show? Do you want to sponsor the show? Feel free. This is the new advertisement section in between Omer's research. I can't like show my cup
like 30
because
miles.
like
30 miles from 20. Yeah, it's 30 miles to like Saltcote, which literally is basically the sea. You're at the Isle of Arran. That definitely.
Okay, so it's not massive distance. Let's say that. We know that it's not a massive distance.
Somewhere you would get a sub that can send a frequency that far.
Okay, yeah. That's a possibility. Okay,
this
then.
This one ended up on the top of my list because it was itself debunked.
Right, okay.
Because it was debunked because they used the frequency on dogs and they had no change.
Right, well, because you debunked it, for fun, I'm going to give it a 3 because it did sound quite fun at first. Realism, because you've debunked it already, I'm going to give it a 0.
Realism, I definitely agree with the 0, being it's debunked. But the fun side, just a sea dog whistle, was just funny to have. Imagine if you're like going to war and you want to like really put your enemy off. Dog whistle, confuse all the animals, and then you go in.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay then.
I agree with you. 3 on that one for the fun.
Yeah. I've got the. Sorry. Okay. So I've got dogs have been jumping off the bridge due to wildlife in the ravine, quite more specifically mink. Dogs love minks.
Tasty treats.
And the smell of them is very strong and it can drive a dog a little bit crazy. Let's admit it. I mean, their eyesight may not be fantastic, but their sense of smell is. So one of the theories that I read was that there is wildlife under the bridge or within the ravine, and the smell is sort of coming up over the bridge. And because of the optical illusion that we discussed earlier, that it's not looking as high as it is, the dogs are literally jumping because they're trying to find the mink or any wildlife that's down there that's giving off a scent, and they're going for it. And that's why they're jumping, not realizing how high it is. And it's sort of like the dog jumps, pause, freeze frame. It was at this moment he knew he fucked up.
The mink one's one that came across mine because it has a very distinct odor that dogs do react to. Minks have began to breed in the area since the 1950s, which coincides with since when the dogs have been jumping off it. This one I really like. This one I feel like is the closest to the truth.
For the dogs, yes.
For the dogs. I mean, it's all about the dogs. What are you talking about?
So not the guy throwing his kid off the bridge or the white lady in the windows. Can that be chalked? Can that be chalked up to mink as well? Are minks really the enemy of this episode? Do we need to start culling these things?
No. Minks are just a tasty snack that dogs can't resist. You know, remember, what's that cat advert with the treats?
Oh, the Dreamies.
The Dreamies, where the cat goes through the wall.
Yeah. You shake the packet
mink and it has the same effect on a dog.
Right.
Can't blame the dogs. Can't blame the minks because they don't choose to be tasty.
I don't see Pedigree making an advert on Overtoun Bridge with dogs.
That would be so good. That needs to be done.
So I'm gonna fly like an eagle in the sea. Please understand, we're not taking the make. This is just the way that we sort of process things.
We are not promoting Pedigree to do an advert with a dog jumping off a bridge.
No, and it is very sad that these dogs have attempted to jump off the bridge.
Attempted? They've done it.
Okay.
It's not an attempt.
Okay. 600 dogs have jumped, but we're not promoting it in any way, shape, or form. Estimated. We don't know the precise number.
But yeah, the mink thing makes the most sense because apparently there are other animal pheromones like scents around the area that would drive. And all the dogs have had, the ones that I could find the reports on, like most of them are like news articles in like the Sun and the Mirror and all these weird things. That all the dogs had notable changes in behavior before jumping. Yeah. Which, if they'd caught a scent of something they thought, tasty treat, I'm going for it, couldn't see what was on the other side of the wall of the bridge.
Yeah,
they'd all go. Heck, I think I would go.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, it does seem the most realistic answer more than anything. And we know that animals are affected by the scent of other animals. So, I mean, it doesn't seem as fun as it could be. I mean, for funness, I'm going to give this a 2. But for realism, I'm giving it a 5 because it is more than likely the most realistic answer.
I agree for the realistic 5 on that. The fun thing that I'd like to know is if we added a slide just off the bridge instead of just letting them drop. Just imagine it. These dogs jump
slide
off,
down.
Hit a slide down, and even if they don't find a mink, we just put like a little dog treat at the bottom so it wasn't a wasted jump.
Yeah.
All dogs happy, all dogs safe, all dogs get a treat. This is my fun aspect to this one. The fact that we know the minks are there, we can't stop the minks. I mean, have they been there since the 1950s? I don't think they could have been an invasive species, but doesn't matter. Dogs would reduce that anyway. But you put a treat at the bottom, the dogs would life's not wasted. And if it finds a mink and it is an invasive species, which I should look at these things before having these weird discussions, but the dogs would fix that.
That's why I need a Google speaker in here so we can ask Google these questions instead of typing it out. We could just go, "Hey Google," and again it's ask, give us the answer.
I don't know. I'm comfortable with Google as a third host.
don't know. I reckon it'd be quite fun, you know. I mean, obviously, because we have moved to a new room, well, I have anyway, on my end. I usually did this in the bedroom, and we had my other half in the background who would do the sort of like on-screen research for us. However, that has now changed. She's no longer sort of in the background, but you know, we will try and get her on an episode at some point with us again. Maybe in season 4, she might even just sit in the background as in a producer sort of format. I don't know. I'm just sort of spitballing ideas here. Someone to just be on set and do our research for us and could feed us this information in the future. You know, just an idea. Season 4 plans, folks, and we're only on season 3.
We'll get a fact checker to sit with us, because as much research as we do, we don't have them all.
No.
Right. So yeah, no, fun factor. I'm going 4 if you add the slides to it, by the way.
Okay.
So 5 for believability, 4 if you're adding slides. No more dog suicides, just fun dogs going down the slide.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. They could like fence it, forget fencing it, just slides down either. Then even humans can be like, nah, I want to go in the ravine today.
What was that noise? Get that sound from Omer as your message tone now.
That's it. That's in my head. That's the noise that slides make.
Okay. You haven't been down many slides lately, have you?
Less than I want.
Yeah, we are in our 30s, man.
Oh, God. Why are slides only for kids?
I don't know.
So, the only other theory... Well, I have one of my own stupid ones, but only other theory that I saw out there is the one that you keep mentioning, which was the Lady Overtoun, the White Lady.
Yeah.
The White Lady theory goes that back in 1908, she became overcome with grief when her husband had passed away.
Yeah.
And she wandered the halls of the manor and the bridge in grief, and her spirit stayed behind after she died.
Yeah.
And there had been sightings in the house of the White Lady in the mirror, sightings in the woods and everything of a white spectral being, which I kind of got upset when doing this because I was like, we missed this on the La Llorona episode.
Yeah.
Right, there was white ladies all over the world, but I didn't know about this one. This one sort of adds, apparently, it was like, she was the beginning of the grief. Like, but it was like, what was it? So, 1908, she's in grief, dies. And then not until the 1950s do the dogs start jumping. And then, apparently, one of the things was because it was already because the mentions of druidic sort of rituals in the area. And then with Kevin Hoy and his schizophrenic incident, it sort of compounded it all, and now dogs feel like a large amount of grief, which gave me a few questions. One was, dogs do have a natural reaction to human emotions, especially their owners. They react to emotions around them, so grief wouldn't be an odd thing. It's usually when you get something like that, you get people mentioning they feel it too, but like the strange chills happens at night, not that often. It doesn't thingy. The Lady Overtoun one, though, annoyed me at first before I did my research, because like an idiot, I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. There was no Lady Overtoun, because the Overtoun, it was the Overtoun farm, and the Whites took it over, so where was Lady Overtoun? Lady Overtoun was John White's wife. Yeah. They were, I've forgotten what the word is when you get honoured by the Queen and became a Baron. So he was Baron Overtoun. His wife was Lady Overtoun. Yeah. I think I forgot her name is. I forgot it down somewhere.
I don't think I've got her name.
I do have it somewhere. Is it on which script? It is written John Jacob Jingle. Nope. Don't do that.
We go down a rabbit hole with that one.
Yep. Nope. Lost it.
Nope. Never mind.
Don't know. But anyway, so the interesting thing about her was I found a history of her. So, yes, she was the Lady Overtoun. Yes, her husband did die in 1908. She lived till 1931. So, she had quite a few years after her husband.
Yeah.
But she left Overtoun in 1917 to go back to her family house, which was Crosslet House, and died there in 1931, not in Overtoun. So to say her spirit haunts a place she left
That she didn't,
a good 20 years before she died,
well,
kind of doesn't make sense to me.
You've seen the new Ghostbusters, right? And they say that specific items can sort of hold on to sort of past trauma.
Are we saying the bridge is the item, the house? What are you?
The whole grounds, the cobblestones that she walks on, could be the things that are holding on to that sort of residue of sort of trauma that has caused it so much. I mean, clearly for myself, it would either be like a PlayStation controller on my phone or my mic, something along those lines. It would be for me. It could be that house and the land held so much sorrow for her that it was so strong. It was sort of like a ghost. It was a ghost trap in itself, and has brought her back to Overtoun. And she's just gone, I fucking left this place for a fucking reason. Just when I think I'm out, they drag me right back in, And now she's just doomed to walk the land forever.
But like the current owners of Overtoun, the house and the estate, like they haven't mentioned any of these sightings themselves. They've reported zero paranormal activity in the place. Everyone else says they saw things. But you'd think like the people living there would be like, yeah, we've seen something.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah,
but
I guess so.
The White Lady one, I like because of I'm not using Ghostbuster logic in real life. Like as much as I love the Ghostbuster franchise,
how dare you?
I mean,
you say that to Mr. Stay Puff. You say it to him. Tell him to his face.
And the day I have a little Stay Puff to sit with me and mess around and cause problems and turn himself into a s'more I can eat. Until I have that, disagree with it. This kind of got to go on one of our video episodes, just using the little Stay Puft Lego.
I'm just going to leave him there on my laptop screen now. He's just sort of there in the corner. I love it.
Yeah, because like she didn't die there. She moved on. Like she didn't marry again. They had no kids. So not only was she the first Lady of Overtoun, she was the last Lady of Overtoun.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things behind the story, but the restless spirit doesn't make sense considering all the other stories of the other white ladies that we mentioned through La Llorona. They all had grief. They died in the location. They stayed in the location, and a lot of the time it was to frighten. Majority of them were to frighten people away from something, and mostly children. That's not how the White Lady of Overtoun was used. It was just a spirit they saw. It wasn't used to frighten anyone. I couldn't find stories of it actually like coming at anyone. It was just a moaning, griefed spirit.
I did have someone say to us, by the way, because we mentioned the White Lady, that their favorite White Lady that they know of is the one from Scary Movie 2. Where Shorty has to put the bag on her head.
Yeah.
I think the person who said that to me was brilliant. I don't want to drop names. When they told me that, it cracked me up. It's like, oh, my favorite White Lady story is the one that had Shorty in the cupboard and he had to put a bag on her head. It's like, whoa. Wasn't expecting that.
Don't think it's going to be on the list of our White Ladies anytime soon.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, then. So for that one, for the fun side of it, and you know me being ghost, I love ghost stories. I'm going to give it a 5 because I do. I love the idea of the fact that there is this bereaved spirit just sort of walking around the grounds, and it's freaked dogs out so much that they need to jump off his bridge and do one.
So
And
this was
everything
the
else that
opposite
goes.
I thought of that, by the way. So as
Okay.
much as I disbelieve the whole White Lady thing anyway, but dogs jumping off the bridge, the way the White Lady makes sense is, as I mentioned earlier, dogs can feel emotions of people, grief, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's not that the dogs were jumping off to get away from her, they were jumping off to console her.
Ah, right. Okay. All right.
Which
Still
in
that
my headcanon puts her
Yeah.
as like Casper.
Okay, in that then, I'm still giving it a 5 for the fun. But the believability side, I'm going to give it a 3. Like you say, she moved away from the estate, but for some reason still ended up haunting the place. But the people that you say are there don't have said that they've never seen anything. It's people that live there within the area that have walked the dogs that say they've seen something, and even those that grew up in the area and going into the woods as kids felt an eerie presence. But then again, we've all felt a bit of an eerie presence when we're walking through the woods as kids and we think that there's something chasing us and our mind plays tricks. But overall, I like it. I mean, what about you?
So, White Lady, for factual, there's nothing I can believe about it just because flick of the eye, like, so, like, it's a cold area. Seeing white figures isn't unusual.
Yeah.
I
It's
gotta give
Scotland,
it a 1.
everyone's pasty.
Yeah, like, aren't most women, like, they're pale, so white ladies? Before I get in trouble for some racism, I'm going to end that on there.
Good choice, good choice.
But there's nothing afterwards. Like I mentioned, the fact that she didn't die there, she died somewhere else. She went back to her family home. She, like, last 20 years what did that come out to? Less than 20 years. Less than
Something
20
like
years.
that. Yeah.
Because she left the estate in 1917. It's about 15 years. 14 years because she died in 1931. So, which means she had some time to sort of not get over the grief. No one ever gets over grief, but like to accept it,
move on,
and then she didn't move on because she never married again. But she had time with her family to sort of, help deal with it. So she didn't have like that much trauma that we do get from like other white lady stories, because they die in their trauma, or their misery, or their grief.
They usually take their own life, don't they? Yeah, they usually take their own life. Not
how she went. So none of that tells me. So believability, 0. I can't even give it a 1. On the fun factor, though, especially when I think of her as like Casper, more like a cross between Casper and Droopy, like, I'm happy, but she's not. And the dogs are like, oh, we want to make you feel better because everybody loves doggos and they're going to be so friendly and want to lick you. It just makes it a little like fun thing, like dogs just trying to help somebody, but like in turn injuring themselves.
Yeah.
Because of that, I give it a 4 for the fun factor.
I don't really have many more theories because obviously I had the ghost one and things like that. Have you got any more at this point?
Oh, I had my stupid one.
Oh yeah, the hellhounds.
No, that was just like something to do with thingy. That wasn't my own. Like,
okay.
I think that is my headcanon. But the fun one I thought was like the cinnamon challenge, or the one chip challenge, or every viral goddamn challenge humans idiots have done.
This is a dog viral challenge.
This is a dog viral challenge.
Why?
So, run with me on this, right?
Okay.
Overtoun is well known for a dog walking area. People still to this day walk their dogs. Dog walking parks you see in like what, depending on how well known the park is, you're talking like 100, 150 dogs a day.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Right? So, wait, I'm going to get a calculator because I didn't do the math earlier. Right, so let's say 150 dogs. 150 dogs a day, on average, right? So, out of a year, 365 So you're talking 54,750 dogs a year cross that bridge.
Okay.
This has been going on for what? Nigh on, what did we say, 70 years?
What were you? It was 1950.
Yeah. Around the 1950s. We're in 2024 now.
Yeah.
So just roughly 70 years. This is 3,832,500 dogs that have crossed that bridge.
Okay.
But only roughly 600 have jumped.
Okay.
So, when you look at the idiots in humans that have done like the Tide Pod challenge, the cinnamon, it's the same. It's a similar like fraction.
Okay. Put a lot of thought into that one, haven't you?
Oh yeah. I was like, it's the similar like, it's not all dogs. It's just the ones stupid enough to try it.
Okay. All right. I see what you're going with that one.
There is some dog social media out there like, I did it, survived Overtoun.
For fuck's sake. Oh, God. Okay, right. Well, fun. 4. Believability. 1.
I'm glad you even gave it a 1.
But we don't know. We don't speak dog, so we could be. This could be the actual thing, but we just don't know.
3.8 million dogs crossed that bridge, but only 600 jumped. I mean, look at the figures.
Yeah.
It's a very small amount.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to look into when I was looking into fell down this rabbit hole was dog jumps off, like the fraction of dogs that jump off regular bridges. Because when you look at it that way, it's like, is that a big number?
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't think I've ever done the research and looked into it.
No one has. That's why you can't find it.
Yeah. I mean, there are still a few things in regards to the whole thing that don't add up to me. The jumping is always done in the same spot. They always jump from the same 2 parapets. Another thing that doesn't add up is the other day I dropped a piece of chicken on the floor for the dog, and it took him 25 minutes to find it, and it was right in front of his face. So if the smell is that good, and I'll tell you now, this chicken smelled amazing, by the way. I cooked it.
You're not a dog.
Yes, but it was chicken.
That's debatable.
Thanks for that. Dogs love chicken, let's face it, right? It was the best smelling chicken I've made in a long time. It looked good. It was dead tasty. And I dropped a piece on the floor, and I just thought, you know what, the dog will get that. It's fine. And it's not even the fact that it was hot. It had cooled down. So it fell on the floor, so I let the dog get it. And I just sort of watched him sniffing around the floor for it. Like, be like such an inch away from it and still not quite know that the chicken was there. And bearing in mind, though, he can find a pair of my socks when I'm hiding them because he just loves chewing socks. So maybe that the smell of the mink is sort of so good.
Akin to your socks.
Yeah. Maybe this is an experiment we need to do now. We'll just go with a pair of my socks, wave them in front of a dog, and chuck them over the bridge and see what happens.
Well, no, please install the slide first.
Well, yeah, the slide will be there, obviously. Or a bouncy castle at the bottom. I don't want them to die. I don't want dogs jumping off bridges. I get worried when my dog gets out of the gate. I mean, we had to put half of the first half of the finale episode of season 2 on hold for a second while I ran out because my dog got out. You know, I was worried he was going to get hit by a car because he's a bit stupid. But I mean, he was just sat there looking for me. But yeah, there's just some bits that just don't add up. And I think this is one of those ones that, okay, I'll go with the mink story for now. I'll agree with that. But what doesn't add up is the guy throwing his kid off the bridge, the sightings from locals of Lady Overtoun, the whole surrounding area of it just seems a bit eerie in a way. Without actually going myself and looking and walking around and getting the feel for it myself, I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm still going to have this weird fascination with this place that something's not quite right. And I don't think we're ever going to get a definitive answer. We have to just go with the answer that we have, that it's mink. Granted, I'm not a professional, so I wouldn't know. It could be that that's the mink. They've done the test. They've just sort of gone, yep, it's that. Don't let your dogs off leads. If you do, you're an idiot. But it's down to you. So for now, I'll agree with it. I don't 100% believe it. I think there's something else to do with it all there, but that's just me. I mean, what about you? Do you agree with the mink story? Is that just sort of tied up in a neat bow for you?
It's weird. So I'd say it does tie it up for me. Not a neat bow, because it still makes no sense on why they don't put any protection to stop dogs from jumping off. They just say, put a leash on the dog. It's like, you know what's doing it. It's on your estate. Like, do something about it. Something real, not just a sign. I feel like I'm more annoyed with the owners of the place more than the mystery behind it. The other theory is just none of them hold anything real to me. The one guy is the one occasion, highly tragic, but it doesn't. It feels tragic. Like he could have easily done that anywhere, and he just picked that because of its already known moniker as the Bridge of Death. Yeah, like I assume because if it was not down as, you know, known as a site of, you know, dogs jumping off it, he would have picked a different bridge. But I think he picked it because of the name, not because of anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I do think on that note, I mean, it is a sad episode, but it has had its funny points. And like I say, we don't wish any harm on any dogs when we've made jokes.
I'm still promoting the slide. If we can start a petition to put slides for the dogs to get down Overtoun Bridge.
Let's do it.
You can get one of those closed slides too, so they go in and they just swirl all the way down.
like a tube. Yeah. If you are going to Overtoun Bridge, please do put your dogs on the lead. That's all we can say. Please do it. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. I know we've enjoyed it. We've got, like I say, we've got some great episodes coming up, so we hope you are staying tuned. Remember to please do like, comment, and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, on YouTube Music now, I believe we're there because it's no longer Google Podcasts. It is YouTube Music now, so you'll be able to find the podcast on there if you are on there, and all the usual places. We do have, like I say, guests coming up, because we did mention that this series was meant to be chocker with guests. Unfortunately, life gets in the way. There are plans. We've got a strict schedule that we need to keep to, with baby on the way at the moment for myself. So like I say, if we've not been able to get those hosts on, they will hopefully appear in later seasons. We have no signs of slowing down. We're still going to be coming at you with all these fun episodes. I think we've got like a list of 70 odd at the moment. And that list is still growing.
We keep adding to it. I don't think it ever stops.
We do keep adding to it. Remember, if you have got any theories and you do want us to sort of look at them, doesn't matter if they're balls to the wall or they're absolutely crazy. We will leave no stone unturned on this, and we will look into it. We have done episodes that people have requested, very much like season 1 Day Out Love Pass was requested by people. We've got Denver Airport, which will be coming up in a later season, which has been requested as well. So please do get those requests into us. We are going to do it here at this point. We're going to roll the outro credit, but thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And that concludes another riveting episode of Caffeinated Conspiracies. Join us next week for more mind-bending mysteries, intriguing theories, and caffeinated conversation.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. We appreciate each and every one of our listeners. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favourite podcast platforms. Your support means the world to us.
Absolutely. And if you have any theories, suggestions, or just want to say hi to us, drop us a message on our social media. We absolutely love hearing from you and engaging with our amazing community.
Stay caffeinated, stay curious, and remember, the truth is out there. Until next time, this is Caffeinated Conspiracies, signing off.